Let's see what he is doing today. Follow me.
So today on Shift Happens Garage, we are putting the water pump on because I have the spacers for the water pump that I ordered off of Amazon. Now, it comes with these paper gaskets, but I'm not a big fan of the paper gaskets. I know other people didn't have problems with them. They can use what they like. I like these, the GM factory ones, because they have the little nice O-ring and they're metal. Over time they'll wear out, but these things have lasted a really long time. So these are the spacers. I have to find a plug for that. I didn't realize there was a hole in it. Probably for a temp sensor or something. But this is the first time opening it. And this is to space out the Camaro water pump for LS truck engine block, as you can see right here. I'll pause it. So I like to put little anti-seize on the bolts because they are going into the block of the water pump, and there is some moisture that sometimes it gets in there. So, and plus it helps it thread in correctly. So a little bit of anti-seize isn't going to hurt anything. So put the bolts in, match the ports up. And then this is kind of what I like to do, is put everything, stack it all together. Makes it much easier to line up the gaskets so they don't fall. The one is kind of stuck on the motor from the previous water pump, so I'm going to leave it alone. That way I can get these in there. Like that. Okay. So, slide it in there. Like so. Get them started because you don't want to cross thread them, because then you'll be having fun. 5-minute job will turn into a 3-hour job. We definitely don't want that. There it is. I think it's a 10 millimeter. And there's 6 bolts to go into water pump. If you're familiar, you already know. Put a little. Did you pause it? Put a little anti-seize on the last 2 bolts. Try not to get it everywhere, because 9 times out of 10, a lot of people like to get it everywhere. God, this is gonna be fight me a little bit. Just gotta stack everything. There it is. Yep. There it goes. All right. 10 millimeter. Wrong size. It's a 13 millimeter. The kit comes with a 13 millimeter bolts. So it's actually a 12 millimeter, sorry. Nice and snug. Not exactly sure on torque specs on this. There is an LS book that tells you all the torque specs, which I have, but as you can see, that spacer lined up the water pump pulley, so it'll work perfectly for what I want to do. And it is cold. So I replace this thermostat because it's a fresh build for one thing, and also because I don't know what temperature this one normally is, but I like to put in a 165 just so the motor runs a little bit happier. So, surface is nice. And yes, I am going to put a plug in this spacer. The instructions tell you what size it is, so I do believe I have one somewhere. Put our radiator hose back. And then I like to use these band clamps that have a metal band in them that actually crimp a little bit better than just the normal band clamps. They actually clamp, they have a little ridge in them and they clamp a little bit better. That way you don't have the radiator hose pop off because the band clamp failed. Just a little extra insurance. And I did one down here already. So I'm waiting on the belt. It should show up Monday. But I'll show you what the radiator hose is going to look like. And I'm going to have to trim that to fit. So this is the upper radiator hose. And then this is where my steam port is going to be from the heads. Put it right into the upper radiator hose. You can put it directly into the radiator, but this is one idea that I wanted to try. Should work. But we might have to figure out a different radiator hose. Or shorten this one up right here, because I need this bend. I need it to go like this. Or I just ordered the right radiator hose. But what's the fun in that when we can make it? Correct? There was nothing wrong with this radiator hose. It worked fine. I just cut it so I could put the steam port in it. But you can see from where the original truck one was to the Camaro style. I wonder if I just swap it. Shorten it and swap it. So I'm going to shorten this and do a little bit off camera. That way I'm not wasting any time. So we'll be back. So I don't know if anybody knows what this is, but this is a PVC cutter. It makes really straight cuts. I don't know if I put this in the last video, but I like to use it. It makes really straight cuts. Misses some of it, but so I shortened the one closest to the water pump. So, by the way, if you couldn't tell, this is a budget build. A lot of stuff is off of Amazon. Some things I just had to buy, like this radiator. I think only one company makes this radiator. I'm pretty sure you can get one made, but it probably would have been more than what this one costs. So a lot of this stuff I've had lying around from other builds, and I also scrap vehicles. So some of it I keep. Obviously, you can tell there's a mess, but that will be cleaned up, and we'll see if we'll video that. Another couple clamps. So this is the tensioner that goes here to finish off the belt routing. I do believe this has to be grooved like the rest of them. I'm not exactly sure. I would have to check on that. I don't know why there's a smooth pulley on this one, but this is what we got for that. I'm working on the AC connections and stuff, but I can't do 100% of everything because I'm still waiting on the harness. I did call the company. They should have it shipped next week. So hopefully within a couple weeks, we can hear this thing fire up, because I'm dying to hear this cam that I put in this motor. So I put on the belt tensioner. I need to order 1.25" clamps, and I need to order a special plug for this adapter. I looked, I don't have one. The amount of stuff I have, I don't have one. So we have to move on because I have to order stuff. But I wanted to put on the transmission cooler. I was going to go with the one built into the radiator, but I want to put a bigger external one because this thing has a 4L60, and everybody knows the stock ones are kind of weak. This motor is not going to make that much power, but I don't want to have to rebuild it right away. I want to be able to enjoy it a little bit and then maybe later on upgrade it. But as of right now, I can put on a bigger trans cooler and it'll live a little bit longer than it would with a smaller cooler. So this is the trans cooler I want to use. I kind of guessed on where I want to put it. It's pretty big. It's going to do a lot of cooling. I'd like to put it in this general vicinity. Yes, it's going to kind of be blocked by the air dam a little bit, but it will get some airflow in here. If I do see the temperatures climbing, I will put a little fan on there, so that way it cools. But it should do what I want it to do. Now I just got to figure out how I'm going to mount it. It comes with mounting tabs and stuff. It comes with extra hoses, obviously off of Amazon. But I think this general space is where I need to put it. I cannot put it up here like they normally do because the grill is right here and I do not want to cut my grill. So I got to make this work, or it's got to go underneath the truck somewhere, which then I have to run extra long lines and it could potentially get damaged, and I don't want to do that. So I'd like to put it here. Okay. So we have our factory transmission lines we're going to tie into the aftermarket cooler. Again, hopefully this should be plenty to keep this transmission cool. If it's not getting a lot of airflow, I will put a fan on it and put a temperature gauge. Put a temperature sensor on that so way it can come on and off with the temperature, because I don't know what I'm going to be doing with this truck. Mainly daily driving it. Nothing like the other truck that y'all have seen in the previous videos, which I will make a video on that. But I would like to get the Blazer content done first before we skip to that. Okay. So super tight fit. That is transmission fluid. It's a little dark. Probably going to do a filter and fluid just to see what's going on. This truck doesn't have that many miles on it, so it shouldn't be anywhere close to its lifespan on the transmission, even though it is a 4L60. Some people like them, some people don't. I personally, if I'm going to run any horsepower, I like the 80 because I maintain the overdrive for daily driving, and it's a pretty strong transmission. Preferably, you would want to use a socket so you can get a little bit tighter and you don't stab yourself with the flathead. Now, I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but the in and the out being on the bottom, it doesn't really matter which one you go to on the transmission, because they're both on the bottom. As long as it's getting airflow and it's doing its job as cooling, I think it's fine. But if it's mounted with the two out to the side, I think it does matter. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Make sure it's not touching anything. Yeah, I'm gonna run a little mount right there so it's not rubbing anything. Yeah, I can't wait to hear this thing run, especially with the cam I bought. Yep. And there it is. One big transmission cooler for this thing. Okay. So the other thing we're going to do today is install O2 sensors. Now, the wiring harness that I ordered required the flat 4-pin. When I get the wiring harness, I will tell you all about the wiring harness when I get it. But this is the part number. The company has this part number on their website, so it's actually a very informative part that I ordered, the wiring harness. So I only need two because I flashed the ECU and I turned off the rear ones. So it will have the two in the front for air fuel ratio. That way I can control the motor correctly, and the motor and the ECU will see the air fuel ratio and adjust. You going? Go back here. Back up a little bit. Back up a little bit. There you go. Watch your head. So I deliberately put the O2 sensors right here when I built the exhaust. That way they're not rubbing anything and they're easy access if one goes bad. Perfect. I don't know if you can see that, but did that in the fender well. Get that hand snug. Got that. And then we'll plug the rear O2. Plug the rear O2 with that plug that I pulled out of the front. Now this one might be a little interesting. I can't remember where I put it. I put it right here. Right here so I can reach. Sort of, kind of. Up in here. Up in here. There. That better? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah. I gotta make sure the wire doesn't get pinched or twisted. If that twists off, then I'm gonna have to buy another one. By the way, I use, for sensors and stuff, I use a lot of Bosch or AC Delco stuff. I don't know what everybody else uses, but on factory stuff, I do believe the AC Delco, Bosch, factory brand stuff works better. Believe it's built a little bit better. That way it doesn't have any wiring gremlins. In the next video, or it might be in this video, I'm gonna take these blocks out because these are not the factory blocks. I do not know what size the factory blocks are. I still got to do some research, but I'm gonna take these out, put factory U-bolts back in it because see how rusty they are. Also, the reason behind that is when you let this down and try to drive it, it sits on the bump stops. And if you're sitting on the bump stops, you have no suspension other than what the bump stop gives you, right? So I'm gonna take these out, do some more research. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought they had 2-inch factory blocks. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's what I want to do. And I don't like these aluminum ones. I've had them on another truck where they actually vibrated and I don't know how to say it, but they put a dent in it and the U-bolt loosened up. So the rear end was a little sloppy. Luckily, I found it when I did the pinion seal on the other truck. So I will be replacing these, taking them out, and trying to figure out what's factory. Because if I'm a daily drive this, I don't want it to be hitting everything on the road because a lot of people like to lower their stuff and everything scrapes. And I'm not a big fan of that. But if you are, hey, you can do what you want. It's your car. So this is what I'm going to do what I want. It may get lowered a little bit more, but I want to stay away from the bump stops. That way it has some suspension. It rides a little bit better. It's not beating you up down the road. And it doesn't hit stuff. Yep. So currently, I've ran out of parts. I'll continue this video later this week. I should have the belt this week. I'm hoping they email me a tracking number on the harness because now that everything's on the motor, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to put that harness on, but it's going to be interesting. I'm dying to hear this run, so probably end the video now and then pick it up later next week because it's the weekend. It is very cold where we're at. Maybe not as cold as northern states, but definitely cold. I have the heat on and it's still cold in here. So please like and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask. If you're curious about part numbers, I can get the part numbers and post them, or I'll put them in the comments if you would like. This is a budget build, by the way. So thank you for watching.